Well, there's no dodging the truth this time. Karoline Leavitt has turned shutting down the MSM into an art form. Every time they push a fake narrative, she's right there to dismantle it with precision, leaving them speechless. It's almost become a sport at this point, and her latest takedowns might be one of her best yet, proving once again why she's the press secretary they fear the most, and someone I'm a fan of. Today, we're breaking down exactly what happened, and trust me, you're going to love every second of it. And as always, please make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell for more videos just like this.
And the president just posted on social media that he had spoken with Prime Minister Trudeau. He says he's not satisfied with what the Prime Minister has said when it comes to fentanyl, but less than 1%, as you know, less than 1% of the fentanyl seized last year was in the northern border. What else does Canada need to do?
Well, the president did just put out a statement on his call with the governor, Justin Trudeau, as he calls him, of Canada. And he said that he was not pleased, as you said. He said it's not good enough. He told Prime Minister Justin Trudeau that directly. The call ended in a somewhat friendly manner, as the president said, but he's not going to stop standing up for the American people. And to answer your question directly when it comes to fentanyl, for the last 4 years, unfortunately, our neighbors to the north and the south, Canada and Mexico respectively, have allowed America to be a dumping ground, not just for illegal aliens, but for illegal, poisonous, deadly fentanyl, which is now the #1 killer of young people in this country aged 18 to 34.
It's not hard to feel like our media is in the business of actively downplaying real threats just because they don't fit the narrative they're pushing. You see, if something doesn't align with their agenda, well, they'll either ignore it, spin it, or straight up pretend it's not happening. If we take a look at the fentanyl crisis, that 1% could lead to millions of people losing their lives. On top of that, in January of this year, Canada's Financial Intelligence Agency reported that organized criminal groups in Canada are increasingly involved in the production of fentanyl by importing chemicals used to make it and lab equipment from China. So if such a serious problem isn't solved at such an early stage, it could easily spiral out of control, just like the border crisis did under Biden's watch. But the reporter didn't like the answer he got and pushed back with this.
Respectfully, it's just 43 pounds that were found last year. That's less than a carry-on suitcase. Is that a lot of fentanyl compared to, say, Mexico, where the vast majority of the fentanyl is brought in through Mexico, not Canada? So what else does Canada need to do?
Well, I just told you, last year alone, there was a 2,000% increase in illegal fentanyl. You're asking me for what the president's justification is for these tariffs. It's not up to you. You're not the president, Gabe. And frankly, I think it's a little bit disrespectful to the families in this country who have lost loved ones at the hands of this deadly poison. If you talk to them, and this president has, they are grateful that they finally have a president who is standing up to both Canada and Mexico, and most importantly, to China as well. The president added an additional 10% tariff on China because this deadly poison is being produced in that country. It's being distributed through our neighbors, and there needs to be consequences for that, period.
Exactly. While Canada and Mexico are at the center of the conversation, many people are overlooking China's role here. Even the BBC admitted that in multiple instances, Chinese manufacturers have provided instructions on how to make fentanyl from products they sell through encrypted platforms and cryptocurrency payments. Those products are the chemicals that go into making the deadly drug, and what's surprising is that the MSM barely covers it, so please choose a different hill to die on. This is the well-being and the health of our society that we're speaking about. This is why people don't trust them anymore. They don't report the news, they manufacture it. If it hurts their side, they'll downplay it until they have no choice but to acknowledge reality. But by the time they do, the damage, well, it's already done. In another interview on Fox, the topic of Elon clashing with Secretary of State Marco Rubio was brought up, and Karoline dismantled it perfectly.
Once and for all, can we dispel the rumors that there is some ongoing feud between Elon Musk, President Trump, Secretary of State Marco Rubio? What do you say about that?
I can confirm there is no such feud. In fact, I was at Mar-a-Lago last night with President Trump, Elon Musk, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and all was well. The president convened a meeting last week with members of his cabinet and with Elon to talk about this historic effort that everybody is on board with to identify the waste, fraud, and abuse across our federal government. And the meeting was highly productive. It was an open dialogue and discussion, which is exactly what the president's team should be doing, engaging with one another to implement the president's goals. And I think it's pitiful that the mainstream media is working overtime to try to divide President Trump from Elon and from other members of his cabinet, but their attempts are failing. Everybody is working as one team towards one goal, and it's to make America great again.
This whole thing started from a New York Times article where they claimed Elon had a back and forth with Secretary Rubio, and it's unclear where would they get such information from. Even if it did happen, a healthy debate is a good thing, but I guess that's a concept that the far left isn't familiar with. By the way, I've noticed you haven't liked the video or subscribed to the channel yet, so what are you waiting for? Now, speaking of Elon, Peter Doocy asked a particular question regarding the dress code at the White House, and, well, I'd say it was pretty hilarious.
We know that some officials here were miffed that Zelensky showed up last week without a suit for his meeting in the Oval Office, but Elon Musk never wears a suit.
He did last night.
So what is the dress code?
Well, Elon Musk wore a suit last night. I'm sure you saw it.
Was he spooked by the Zelensky, Zelensky getting kicked out?
No, I don't think so. I'm just pointing out that he did wear a suit last night, and I think the president liked that very much.
That is the right response. Honestly, I don't understand why so many people are fixated on this dress code debate. Brian Glenn was the one who brought up this during the infamous Zelensky meeting and came off as petty and unnecessary. Of all the things to criticize Zelensky for, his choice of clothing is probably the least important and most childish. To wrap things up, we have Karoline responding to recent comments made by Karine Jean-Pierre of all people, and needless to say, she did not hold back.
On press access, your predecessor, Karine Jean-Pierre, who presided over many novel press access restrictions, criticized the recent changes to the press pool made by your office. She said in an interview, quote, what we're looking at is what North Korea is doing. What's your response to that? And can you say anything to allay concerns that unfavorable coverage will be punished in this new press pool system?
I think that's the same individual who said from this podium numerous times that the commander-in-chief was mentally and physically up for the job, which we knew was a lie. Many people in this room knew it was a lie. Many of you were admonished for asking questions about that truth. So when it comes to truth and transparency, this administration, this White House is setting the example. This president is taking far more questions than his predecessor, Joe Biden, did on a daily basis, and that will continue.
Woo, shots fired, girl. Imagine being the modern day equivalent of Baghdad Bob and still having the audacity to criticize the White House over how they handle the media. The irony is just almost too much to handle. These are the same people who revoked hundreds of press passes, making it harder for journalists to even get in the room. Let's not forget the most ridiculous part. Reporters were required to submit their questions in advance on the rare occasion that Biden actually agreed to do an interview, which almost never happened. But I'd love to know your thoughts here, so let's get the conversation rolling in the comments down below. And if you want your friends to get their coverage from an independent source like us, please share the video with them. It means the world. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.